aviation sector plays a significant part in Malaysia's financial development. It stimulates other sectors such as tourism, hospitality, and trade. It gives vital transportations for tourism and contributes multiple effects to the local economy, contributing the third largest within the gross domestic product. There are few airlines in Malaysia, for example, Malaysia Airlines, Malindo Air, Firefly, and AirAsia. AirAsia is the lowest cost airlines in the world. It was established in 1993 by Tony Fernandez. He bought the company for RM1 in 2001 and turned it into the largest low-cost carrier in the region. The vision for AirAsia is to be the greatest low-cost airline in Asia. With the trademark "Now Everybody Can Fly", AirAsia has been chosen as the finest low-cost airline within the world 11 times by Skytrax. AirAsia operates over 3,500 flights per week and has a striking red color that draws everyone's attention. The company employs up to 7,500 people and has flown over 90 million passengers in its short history. Asia's largest low-cost carrier is now operational, standing tall as an ASEAN carrier connecting the diverse regions, community cultures, and cities. I will explain about the changes made by the AirAsia. To meet the challenges of running an airline during a global pandemic, AirAsia decided to concentrate on developing its digital and non-passenger airline businesses. There are few changes that AirAsia has made to meet the challenges of operating airline during the pandemic. One of them is turning AirAsia into digital airline. In October, the airline official online ticketing platform has experienced a major change, enabling its clients to fly, to stay, to shop, and to eat, all from the convenience of one platform. There are now 17 lines of commerce available on the app, including AirAsia Food, meal deliveries, AirAsia Fresh, groceries, and AirAsia Shop, retail, which is powered by AirAsia Logistics arm Teleport. In addition, there is AirAsia Health, which promotes medical tourism, Islam compliance service Ikhlas, and Snap, which is flight and hotel bundles. On the other hand, AirAsia has developed digital payment service called BigPay, has 1.2 million users, and offers money transfers, with remittance available in 10 countries including Singapore. BigPay has received a provisional license for lending, and users will soon be able to apply for fast loan at low interest rates. BigPay is also targeting key digital license in the Philippines and Thailand. Besides that, AirAsia have Big Rewards, which is one of the Southeast Asia's largest travel and lifestyle rewards platforms, with over 35 million members. It has evolved from an airline loyalty program to a broader lifestyle rewards benefit, offering points redemptions on an extent of dining, shopping, and entertainment deals. The platform includes Big Exchange, which is the first airline point exchange platform, which allows Big members to convert credit card loyalty points from participating banks into Big Points. Moreover, AirAsia has also extended into jet service other F&B verticals such as the Santan Kitchen, which will gradually take over the productions of Santan meals, as well as give cloud kitchen space for aspiring F&B entrepreneurs. Adjusting to post-COVID reality and recognizing customers' preference for domestic delivery orders, AirAsia Cargo and Logistics Division's Teleport pivoted once more to concentrate on last-mile deliveries, transporting packages, restaurants' orders, and fresh produce from AirAsia Shop, AirAsia Food, and AirAsia Fresh. Currently, Teleport has over 5,000 delivery partners, with deliveries accessible over 70 cities, making them a major Southeast Asian e-commerce transportation supplier.
The challenge part that AirAsia company face is the popularity of the service is unknown to other people. This challenge needs to be resolved by the company to further introduce service offering and change the direction of the business. Marketing needs to play an important role in promoting this application for use by the public. The purpose of promoting this service is to increase the sales of company income so that it can always open a job opportunity to other people who need it. So the second challenge is competition between other delivery service company. Because there are many delivery companies that are popular in eyes of the community, AirAsia company need to plan a change that can affect to the community outside so that they realize that the company service are unique from another supply. The third challenge is about a lack of riders. This is because the riders are more interested in the service and offer provided by the other companies such as Grab, Foodpanda, and so on. This is because the community who use this app is less active and does not use the service often. The percentage of individuals using it is lower than others. Therefore, it's a major factor and problem to the change that have been made. I will continue for my part. My part is challenges and issue that company AirAsia face through the changes. So I will put the 3 of challenges and the 3 of issue in my slide. So I go to the issue first. So the first issue is increasing shipping costs. So the problem by AirAsia on the changes business concept is carried out by making food delivery. There are many complaints and grievance from customer about the increasing in shipping costs that need to be increased after the government state the price of good has increased by 30%. So this shows a large amount of a difference when compared to the price if we buy it ourselves. However, the cost of delivery is in accordance with the rate of increase in the fuel that has been set. So the second point is pandemic COVID-19. So as we know that the company has faced in the making changes on the issue of COVID-19, the company will be a highly risk of getting and becoming a carrier of COVID-19 outbreak. It will be happen if staff and customer do not follow a proper operation procedure standard as a government state. As a result, gas can increase and have an impact on all entrepreneurs and companies because a movement will be restricted according to the plan set by the government. Therefore, for the last issue is lack of supply from supplier. So the third problem is about the lack of supplier. There are AirAsia company is individual who plays an important role as a middleman between buyers and seller. They need to increase the number of choice the customer can make so that the supply chain from the supply is not broken in the system used. This is very important to ensure that customer satisfaction can be made so they are happy and like to spend on application and service that AirAsia does.
Hello to Madam and to all my fellow friends. So now I will continue about the implication and impact of the AirAsia. Now let's take a look to impact in the selection and recruitment. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a significant influence on the aviation sector because it has restricted travel and decreased demand from passengers. Due to COVID-19 epidemic, AirAsia and AirAsia X Berhad have laid off 24,000 workers in order to remain in business according to Bernama 2020. So the AirAsia Berhad, they laid off more than 300 members in effort to streamline operation in the wake of the challenging scenario brought on by the COVID-19 outbreak. According to media estimate, 111 of the 1900 crew members, 172 pilots, and 50 engineers are set to the lose job as a result of the layoff announced by Chief Executive Officer CEO Fred Asmat in an internal briefing session this afternoon. However, the NCR and the board had not given up and will keep looking for the qualified candidate to fill the open post. So due to the layoff of the workers, AirAsia also offer compensation to everyone who involved. But there were several issues with the compensation where that is insufficient for the year of work, and some people claim that they have been promised in a different amount compensation than what was stated in email. However, the most crucial issue of them is to consider is their fate and plans for their near future, because some of them have family to support. Many are parents of young children, others are single mothers, and some are husband and wife who are both of layoff. So about 50 AirAsia personnel from all sectors were seen arriving one by one on Friday at the AirAsia office at Kota Kinabalu International Airport for the final time before putting on their uniform. Second is management of change. In AirAsia, they has to regulate and control processes stable in order for good performance. The organization put its effort in providing opportunity to its employee and readily resources in order for quick response, creative thinking, and critical thinking. However, researchers criticize the difficulty of rise in relating organization structure to performance, and there is no agreed definition of good performance according to Mansfield 1984. So, in COVID-19 epidemic, according to Amankwa Amwa 2020, outlined the strategic and tactical response of the international airlines to the epidemic, including modification to in-flight service, aircraft cancellation, and seeking emergency relief and financial support. Due to the outbreak, many tourism experienced losses as a result of few airlines slot. One of four major factors is AirAsia delay flight, postponements, and rescheduling involving multiple destinations was determined to be the small number of aircraft. According to Dato Sri Alexander Natalinggi, Minister of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, stated that AirAsia today runs with only 40 aircraft as opposed to 95 aircraft prior to the COVID-19 epidemic striking. In its statement to KBD and HGP on the subject of flight delays and rescheduling, AirAsia also mentioned that the airline faced operational regulation constraints. So, before the aircraft cost delay or large increase in passenger number during the holiday season, the opening of national borders, some countries still require the result of PCR tests. In general, the COVID-19 screening test is no longer required at airports. On April 1, the Ministry of Health test counter will be closed. However, there is still a private clinic at Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA, and visitors can take the test there or at any clinic near the destination in Malaysia within 24 hours of arrival. In addition, before the visiting Malaysia, all foreign visitors, according to YB Tuan Khairi Jamaluddin, must download and send up a MySejahtera user. He emphasized that those who disobey the rules by failing to take the COVID-19 test within 24 hours would face strict consequences, including the possibility of being expelled from Malaysia. He clarified, however, the pre-release and arrival examination are not required for kids less than 6 based on their birth years. These RTK-AG tests need to be carried out expertly since it needs to be added to MySejahtera and only certificate laboratory can submit the data. And last is at least 3 to 5 AirAsia planes had a technical difficulty during flight operation around the world over the previous few weeks. It's make inception and technical problem a more time consuming. At last, impact of COVID-19, AirAsia X PHD or AAX suffered the greatest quarterly net loss over totaling RM 5.67 billion for the quarter that ended March 31, 2021 as a result of the outbreak. The number of personnel has been cut by 10% and salary reduction has been applied at all levels. In AirAsia struggling as the airline share price has dropped by 25% in 2020, AirAsia reported that a net loss of RM 993 million, $238.3 million, at the same time last year as opposed to a net profit of 17.3 million. In both, they acknowledged that 10% of a low-cost carrier, 24,000 total employees would be let go during COVID-19 in 2020 according to Bernama. In addition, the group was unable to resume its regular operation until travel restrictions were gradually lifted and international borders were reopened. Following the COVID-19 epidemic, there were fewer tourists since trip plans were delayed and cancelled. In addition, the government implemented travel restriction and prohibition result in a significant loss of revenue and profit according to Phu Chintan and Hua 2020. The group has asked suppliers, creditors, and lessors for payment delay and concession as well as a reduction in capital spending in order to maintain liquidity during the difficult circumstance. Furthermore, AirAsia launched BigPay apps and other digital focuses enterprise to make up for the losses they incurred during the COVID-19 outbreak. To ensure that its customers are keep informed and aware of what the company is doing, AirAsia has taken steps to stay in touch and engage with them frequently. The carrier may borrow money from investors and banks in order to fund the development of BigPay and other digital-driven business in order to survive in COVID-19 problem, according to Al-Rawi 2020. So, within the following 2 years, AirAsia X Berhad AAX hoped to rebound with the passenger capacity reaching pre-COVID-19 levels. According to Benjamin Ismail, the company chief executive officer, the goal was set after long-haul flights were resumed early this year. Last but not least, there were several issues causing this net loss happened in the AirAsia X Berhad, where the customer they still haven't received their refunds for the travel ticket that they were cancelled in 2020. So, as the result of the movement limitation to the stop of spread of COVID-19, some international passenger of AirAsia X was experienced frustrated. According to some passenger, Catherine O'Brien, 62 years old, of Sydney, Australia, she was extremely upset with the treatment she had been received. Since she frequently used the AirAsia service over the past 10 years, whether she wished to fly to Japan, Malaysia, and other countries. Due to the low price available, she claimed that the airline is frequently one of her top picks, and she was never encountered any issue that she would consider to be problematic. O'Brien revealed that her travel was booked for June 2020 and that she had purchased for 2 round-trip tickets from Sydney to Kuala Lumpur from total RM 6,352 ringgit. So this is the problem when a lot of flight cancellation happened during the COVID-19 in AirAsia. So a lot of fans feel frustrated and some of them still not get refunds from the cancellation. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you.
So as for the suggestions and recommendation, the spreading of coronavirus affected most of the business in the whole world. This includes the most well-known company in the aviation industry, which is AirAsia, and this forcing the airline company to take dramatic measures in order to maintain the business. The decisions to lay off the AirAsia X Berhad workers to cut the expenses is seen as reasonable at that moment. The airline basically is earning money from the passenger, but due to the restriction movement control order by the government, the airlines company unable to operate as previously, and there is no guarantee that the company will be able to run smoothly as before. Therefore, the decisions to lay off some of the workers is the only way to maintain the business operation. Secondly is flight cancellation and delays. As many passengers are complaining about the flight delays and cancellation, AirAsia should work on that matter. The strategy to reduce the flight delays might be is to increase the use of high-tech monitoring technology to ensure the airports and airlines are run smoothly and efficiently. Thank you. So as for the conclusions, it is very challenging for any business to operate during pandemic COVID-19. While other sectors are completely affected, such as tourism as well as airline that directly involve in tourism and hospitality industry. However, for any business, it is crucial to strategize its business plan to meet the client needs. As for the AirAsia Berhad, the group had launches AirAsia Super App in October 2020. The app is basically is the apps that enabling its client to fly, book hotel, eat, shopping in one platform. All are powered by AirAsia Logistics. And this app is a one-stop travel app which offers consumer over 16 line of product and services through the apps. The AirAsia Super Apps also has 4 businesses vertical, which is AirAsia Food, AirAsia Ride, AirAsia Express, and AirAsia Grocer. Besides, AirAsia also has a subsidiary logistic, namely Teleport, that generate the company business and concentrate on cross-border shipping. The AirAsia Group also had rebranding itself to Capital Air, which reflect the expansions of its business from only airline to cargo delivery and fintech services. The group decisions to grow its digital services to face the pandemic is the right thing and time to do. In addition, during pandemic, people are encouraged to stay at home and avoid crowd people as much as possible. And therefore, many people are prefer to buy online. As everyone knows, the pandemic accelerated the world digitalization, and many businesses are forced to transform its business to business digital. And to conclude that, the step taken by these organizations to expand its business and develop its digital business is meet the current situation. And that's all. Thank you.